Hello, everybody, and welcome to Eternal Mooncast special program Bishoujo Senshi Slumber Party. We're on the current adventure of the React series of the Sailor Moon Deep Dive. This will be the discussion portion for episodes 21 through 25. And also tonight is our affiliate anniversary for the Eternal Mooncast channel. So yay, we're all excited. And there should be like little party hats, I believe, in the chat. It's real cute. I'm excited.
All right. So Sailor Moon has a long and rich history, but have you seen everything? I'm Relia, and these are my friends Monica and Michi, and we are three lifelong Sailor Moon fans who dove headfirst into the fandom and have stayed there ever since. We love being part of this amazing fan community surrounding truly this genre-defining series. If you've been watching and you'd like to jump to a particular episode, stamps will be down in the description.
Now, we know some of you may not have seen the deep dive. If you want to watch along with us and enjoy our reactions, you can join our Patreon and get in on the fun. And it is totally free. So please enjoy. And if you want to toss us a couple dollars, we wouldn't mind either. But the link is in the description below.
All right, so let's delve into discussing episodes 21 through 25 this week. As usual, Monica and I have watched them both in Japanese and in English to give a little bit more commentary about them and compare localization that DiC did. The Japanese episodes, if you're following along with the Japanese episodes for this, in this case, are now 25 to 30.
And we'll be summarizing each episode, talking about them, and sharing our thoughts with you. We're excited to share our favorite moments, what we loved, and everything else in between. So go ahead and join the chat and post in the comments to let us know what you thought about each episode too. And without further ado, let's begin. We start with episode 21. Which is, in the English, Jupiter comes thundering in. Our girl Jupes is here, finally.
Yes.
Finally, another voice of reason.
20 episodes before our girl shows up. And keep in mind that in the manga, this would have been like chapter 4.
Yeah.
It would have been great.
Yeah.
In the manga, they just all joined stacked in a row. And in the anime, they really did take this time to develop the notion of a central trio of essentially Moon, Mars, and Mercury as the big three. And then Jupiter and then finally Venus are going to be supplemental to that. I think, while it's an interesting choice, I think it certainly does, giving that kind of emphasis, I think does a disservice to what a standout character I think Jupiter is. I just think that in terms of characters that express such a distinct personality and contribute a distinct narrative angle to the show, Jupiter is high on that list. And it seems strange to me to see her presented as being next tier down of prominence in the narrative, when I think a lot of times she contributes more, frankly, than Mercury does as far as a personality and her presence in the show.
I would strongly agree, and that her arrival changes the tone of things completely.
Oh, hugely.
I do, like we've talked about this, I do the establishment of the relationship between Ami, Usagi, and Rei as a trio. And they are a fun trio with their three very different personalities.
Yeah.
But 25 episodes is too many.
Yeah, because we are literally talking in the Japanese specifically about 25 episodes.
25. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is what, a 42 episode season?
Yes.
And it's the most of the episodes without Jupiter and very much without Venus.
Yeah. The Japanese title for this episode is Jupiter, the Powerful Girl in Love.
And the best English episode, like one of the best titles, Jupiter Comes Thundering. I'm like, oh my God.
I'm going to give it to the English episode title on this one.
I truly think so. I think not only is it like you get that iconic thunder reference, obviously, but also it does tell you like what kind of intro of Jupiter you're in for. You wouldn't, even without the thunder reference, you would never have an episode Mercury comes thundering.
Yeah.
What comes thundering in? But I think it really fits Jupiter. And I think an interesting theme that I would like to explore this month when we're talking about these episodes is how we will start to see that the incident with Molly and Nephraid's death and Molly being so affected with it, I think truly starts to show itself as having been a watershed moment for Usagi's Sailor Moon. Truly, you start to see a strong pivot in the direction that they take from character I think that really comes out in several of the episodes that we're going to talk about this week.
Yeah, since we've set up, these are obviously a continuation of this. We're now firmly into the Rainbow Crystal arc, uh,
Yes.
which I had an interesting. Join the Patreon, watch the reaction episodes. Watching these episodes in English, you can watch the light die out of my eyes while we're going through this. This was a slog. I couldn't stand it. They're not good in the dub. But I was like, oh man, Julia, we're going to sit through 5 miserable episodes. And then I rewatched it in Japanese and was like, no, it's just the cutting and the dubbing that is not doing these any favors at all.
I agree.
They're definitely more fun in Japanese, and it's odd. So let's talk about that, and let's get started with what's going on in the episode in which Jupiter is introduced. Because also, unlike the episode that introduces Ami and the episode that introduces Rei, this is not manga compliant.
No. No. Obviously, considering the manga did not include 7 Great Yoma and 7 Rainbow Crystals, they went entirely with what they wanted to do for Jupiter. So let me hit you with my extended episode summary of Jupiter, the Powerful Girl in Love. I have a note here that my notes specifically say good animation team with a big asterisk next to it. So we're gonna revisit that because while this is certainly the good animation team, you'll notice some beautiful animation in this episode. There's at least one little glaring issue in one frame that I happen to spot. So we start out with things are changing in the Negaverse. The Negaforce is starting to wake up, and Beryl's like super excited about it. And the Negaforce is, we need the silver crystal so that I can be fully resurrected. And Beryl's okay, but I don't know where it is. And the Negaforce, okay, but in order to get it, you should awaken the seven shadows or something. I think they're called in DiC.
It was the 7 Shadow Warriors.
The 7 Shadow.
You're welcome. I wrote it down.
These are, of course, the 7 great, and the 7 rainbow crystals are attached to them, basically. Cut away from this briefly. We will cut back to that introduction. We see Serena running to school, and she's running late. She bumps into a street thug. These are like any street thugs that you would see in any anime, like with their sort of hunched weird walks and their like bow-legged postured things. And they're like, what are you doing, girly? Blah, blah, blah. And Usagi or Serena's, oh, this is so scary. And then a mysterious stranger, this schoolgirl who's 10 feet tall and is pissed off, is like, yo, motherfuckers, take your hands off of her. And they're like, well, what are you going to do about it? And the one guy like puts his hand on her shoulder and she just flips him in the air. The other 2 guys come at her. She flips them too, kicks their asses. They run off. And stay out. And then Serena's, wow, thank you. That was so amazing. Lita basically runs off. Serena reacts very bisexually. She sees the glistening rose earring of Lita as she's running away, and and she blushes. And Luna's, she's very impressive. Try to focus Usagi. This could be worrying.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, jump cut back to Beryl, Kunzite, and Zoisite. Beryl is now telling all the information that she just got from the Negaforce to, Malachite and Zoisite. And Malachite's, oh yeah, I remember them being sealed into the rainbow crystals, which are fragments of the silver crystal. In Japanese, he says that essentially they were sealed into fragments of the silver crystal and then dropped on Earth. I like the notion that like Queen Serenity just shattered the silver crystal, sealed them in it, and just was like, Earth, whatever, that's dumb.
Just threw it.
Or Salt Bay. We're over Salt Bay because he sucks, but we're still going to go with the image. That's how I like to picture it. Malachite then says, the Yoma were reborn as humans. They've forgotten their past as Yoma. Barrels, I've modified Nephrate's dark crystal, and now it will react to rainbow crystals instead, and gives it to Zoisite. I actually really like the continuity between, because I think you could have easily just forgotten the existence of Nephrate's dark crystal after Nephrate bites it, even though it was this thing that Zoisite was so ardently seeking because it was supposedly going to be able to track the silver crystal, which it never did. But that they stuck with that notion that this MacGuffin had been created and genuinely pushed it forward till since we now know the reason it wasn't working is because silver crystal is a bunch of rainbow crystals. Barrels tweaked it a little bit. here you go, Zoisite. So I do genuinely like that they brought that continuity through
There's
between
a
the narrator and
there's
the
a lot of good little details that are sewn through this filler arc. I
yes,
like the idea of 7 Gray Yoma. I like the idea of them
same.
being sealed away into weird crystals that sentai into the silver crystal. It's a cool idea. And that concept fits the ethos that the manga establishes.
Yep. I think if you think it through, obviously it's not something at the time, especially watching DiC, you never know it. But the notion that like once you've watched all of Sailor Moon and you understand the impact of the Ginswishu, the Silver Crystal, you understand how meaningful it would have been to make the decision to shatter the Silver Crystal into pieces to contain these monsters. Obviously, they aren't very impressive in the anime, but I would like to imagine a more impressive version of them that was so overwhelmingly dangerous that Queen Serenity felt that it was necessary to shatter her almighty powerful silver crystal in order to accomplish this. And as we know, shatter her life was sacrificial on her part. So I do really like the concept of the 7 Great Yoma, even though obviously they could have been so much more than just monsters of the day who also have a shiny nugget inside.
That and their design, though, I hate to say it, the name and the design are not matchy-matchy right now.
Oh, they're not giving a damn.
I have a note about one of the episodes. I'm sure we'll get to it, but it just says, this is very tokusatsu, and in parentheses, I wrote derogatory.
Exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
Hey, Rhoda.
Hello. Good for you. All right, so back to the summary because I got distracted again.
That's so weird.
Gives us Zoisite. Zoisite, Zois, the dark crystal. And I think we need to take a moment to appreciate, and I have in my notes so many times, it will say Zoisite, Zois. But for some reason, whenever Zoisite uses his powers, like both in Japanese and in the DiC dub, he says, Zoe.
Yeah, the inflection.
I have a note too from this episode specifically that when the woman who does his voice in English says Zoe, it's like very narf-ish. But like when when the Japanese voice actor says it, it's much more of an utterance. He's just like it's
I think he was like, this is how am I going to minimize the impact of the fact that I'm saying my own name like a Pokemon every time? Because that was a choice.
Nephrite didn't do that. Nephrite just threw money at shit. That was Nephrite's method.
Mm-hmm.
It worked pretty well for him right up until he got super backstabbed.
But he got back. He was doing fine in his villainy if he had just been left to do it instead of
Yu-Gi-Oh from the Bitches 5, Witches 5, or damn it, Cassie, from the Witches 5. If Yu-Gi-Oh had been allowed to live and the brakes had been pulled out from the net, she knew who Uranus and Neptune were, and she could have won.
some of the best, most capable villains were really good at their villain job and discovered major important civilian identities, but unfortunately then got backstabbed by their own coworkers.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is the fate of a henchman who figures out the secret identity of the heroes to die.
Yeah. Usually not to the heroes.
Yeah, no.
Problem. I think even Iron Mouse gets nuked by Galaxia.
Yeah, she
Kids,
does.
don't answer that phone call. never answer the phone call.
Don't do it.
I'm like, oh no, I'm in a no reception zone. Oh no. I don't know, breaking up.
Oh gosh.
All right. Zoe is the dark crystal. Instantly, it just shows him a rainbow crystal holder. Here's this guy. It's some rando with a backwards cap. Meanwhile, we cut back to Serena at school. There's a new transfer student at her school. It's Lita, who we previously met. Melvin tells Usagi, oh, she was kicked out of her last school for fighting. You should stay away from her. Usagi has ignored him so much so that she's already gone mid-conversation and is over admiring Lita's very cute and very delicious looking lunch, as she does. This is Usagi's excited to join her. So this is, I do want to point out, this is another one of the Keystone R movie scenes. In the R movie, it has an exchange where Jupiter says, "Aren't you afraid of me?" And Usagi just says, "Should I be?" Which is so incredibly charming. It's such a wonderful character beat for Usagi. I don't remember if it's in DiC. It's not in JP. That dialogue exchange literally doesn't happen. In
I,
JP, okay.
my note from this scene just says, "Eat your hamburgers, Apollo." Because I believe she's, some delicious muffins, and they're clearly like fried rice balls.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The greatest thing ever.
Just, "Oh man, your lunch looks good and you're cute. I'm gonna come sit with you." That's basically what Usagi does. Like,
100%. 100%. And then she's, "Oh, wow, your mom's a really amazing cook." And she's, "Oh, actually, I cooked these." And Usagi's like, "Holy shit, that's amazing. You're so cool. Maybe you could teach me to cook or cook for." I'm just kidding. But not really, which was adorable. So they become instant friends. They go to the arcade together. In Japanese, Usagi asks Makoto why she isn't in their school uniform, and she just says, "Oh, this one suits me better." I believe, at least in the DiC, they say that it's because the school uniform doesn't fit her. So she's had to wear my old school uniform, which I think works better than just, "I'm too cool to wear the uniform." That's weird.
yeah, that is such a weird choice to change, because I've always thought of Jupiter as being one of those kids in middle school who like just grew to their full adult height like right away.
Oh, 100%.
She's not even that huge. She's 5'7". She is a normal amount of tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like a 5'7" middle schooler is pretty fucking big.
In Japan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in the U.S.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
In the US too, but
Yeah.
especially in Japan.
Japan, yeah. Yeah, and her being like, "The clothes for kids don't fit me because I grew to the size of an adult at 13" is a thing that I think is relatable to a lot of people too.
I agree. I'm surprised that it wasn't in the original Japanese.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
Because I think
But,
that's in the manga too.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it is in the manga, and it makes so much more sense. Just a weird choice.
Yeah.
Anyway, we know why. So we have notes in here. Ronnie Nizak says, "The But Aren't You Afraid of Me, Should I Be?" is in the Pioneer dub of the R movie, but I can't remember it in the actual episode. We watched the DiC several weeks ago, so I would have to go back to our Patreon and watch it to see if it's in there or not. It's definitely in the R movie in Japanese. That is the original.
But I think that is right. I don't remember it from those lines because I remember Usagi like trying to get the food.
Yeah,
I remember those, but I don't.
I
remember
feel
that.
like if that had happened, we would have remarked on it because it's such a good exchange.
Yes.
And it's one of our favorites. I feel like.
Yeah.
It is. The R movie exchanges are very close to my heart because that sequence in the R movie gets me every time. I think it is peak Sailor Moon. And so I was very surprised because we saw that the Ami exchange does occur earlier in the series. Again, it's in a cut episode that's not in DiC. It's Japanese only, but that exchange does actually appear as written. I don't remember if we ever see Ray's exchange, which happens in the R movie, where Ray is sitting by a wall, exhausted from all of her work as Shrine Miko, and Usagi is, "Wow, Ray, you're such a hard worker." And Ray is, "You just noticed?" I don't know that actually appears in the anime prior to them creating it for the movie. So that one might be wholly originated. And then we'll have to see if the Sailor V exchange, where Sailor Moon goes, "Oh my God, it's my hero, Sailor V," and Sailor Venus goes, "Ta-da," in person. We'll have to see if that actually occurs.
Decline's different. I think.
I wouldn't
got
be
me wondering.
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if the declines are different, but in terms of the Japanese, it is interesting to see that they sort of tweaked scenes for the R movie, and I wish that the R movie version was in there. They're so good.
Oh, see, I like the DiC ones a lot. I really love them. But I think it's based on what you grew up with.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, so
Yeah,
one of the other things that I thought was a little bit of a difference between the two is that Melvin is spying, is like watching her talk to Makoto the whole time. And then I believe in the DiC dub, Melvin says something vaguely insulting about Makoto Lita before he leaves.
Oh, he's
Like,
super insulting to
like,
her.
she's a martial arts psychopath or something like that or whatever.
She's so
In,
mean.
in the Japanese, he says Usagi is such a natural at making friends.
Yep.
It's such a different line.
Wow, no, Melvin
Yep.
was a bitch in the dub.
He was
Yeah.
just so mean in the
Well,
details. Now he's
or
not
he's-
nice in the Japanese because he also is. She's gotten in trouble from fighting her.
Yeah,
Like, you should stay away from her.
He's
but-
worried she's like a bully or like a person who's looking to get in a fight all the time. And he's contextually, it comes across as he's like afraid that she's going to hurt Usagi or pick a fight with her. And then when that doesn't happen, he says, oh, Usagi's such a natural at making friends, and then leaves, right? His friend is okay and he can leave. It's a different context than him just standing there just saying mean shit about her.
Yep.
Very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. R.I.P. Melvin's character.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about Joe, whose name is
Oh, yeah,
Joe
so
in both languages.
Joe. Yeah. Let me
Joe.
get back to my extended description.
Yeah.
All right. Usagi and Makoto go to Crown Game Center. Amy and Ray and Luna find them. They make some interruptions. Ray and Usagi are fighting. Makoto's, oh, you guys must be so close because you fight so much. And they get even madder about that. Meanwhile, Game Machine Joe, or in Japanese, Joe the Crane Game Troll, is playing the crane game and he's winning all of the UFO catcher dolls that are in there. Everyone's, wow, that's so amazing. He's so good. Mako's, he's just like my senpai. I love him. He leaves and she follows him. Zoisite finds them, Zoys him, takes his rainbow crystal. Makoto interrupts though before Zoisite can get it. And then just beats down Zoisite, who's like super pissed that Makoto harmed his beautiful face. And he leaves. Joe then also leaves. Makoto follows him. Usagi and Luna follow them. It's a train of people following people. Makoto's, I'm protecting you. Joe is super mean to Makoto, to which her response is, he's just like my ex-boyfriend, which is so heartbreaking.
Girl, you were 13. You should not have had an abusive ex already.
Oh. Joe lets her have coffee with him. He says he has telekinesis. Zoisite returns, attacks them again, takes his crystal, it's red, introduces himself to Sailor Moon, because Sailor Moon's the F for you. Joe turns into, in Japanese, it's Game Sen. I don't remember what stupid name he had in DiC. Neither name is particularly good. Makoto also defends Sailor Moon, just as Makoto. And then Luna's, yo, girl, here's a henshin pen. I saw your Jupiter symbol on your forehead. Luna creates the crescent moon wand also, and is don't zap. They're like, we can't zap him. He's a human. You would literally cut him to shreds. They're like, what can we do? She's like, here's this crescent moon wand. Use moon healing activation, or in Japanese, moon healing escalation, since we can't murder a human. By the way, this is the weapon for the leader. Sailor Moon, you're the leader. They rescue him. Meanwhile, next scene, Jupiter's running in the rain, runs into some dude, and it's Motoki, and she's, oh, he's so nice. He's just like my senpai. The end.
Girl.
A bunch of cool moments here. I really love Makoto just being like, I'm going to throw down with this tokusatsu monster. Untransformed, unarmed. I'm just gonna fist fight this guy. Also, an incredible statement about her character, too.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
100%.
just willing to get hurt on behalf of someone else, too.
Yeah.
She is a middle schooler, but she went at it with the absolute confidence of a person who was like, I'm gonna win this fight.
Yeah, she wasn't just, I know I'm going to get hurt and this won't go well for me, but I guess I'll do my best. No, she was like, it's on. I'm going to take you down now.
Yeah.
I can do that, which is very cool of her. She's such a, like I said, she has such a presence and personality as a character. I genuinely think she's such a great addition to the team. Around Annie's access, can we appreciate how cool Crescent Moon Wand sounds compared to Moonsticks?
Yes.
It's absolutely,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. And then she's 14, yeeting an adult man over her head with one hand, like, damn.
Yep.
And then let's catch up in the comments a bit.
See the comment about Terry Hawks' voice acting.
Yes, there we go. That's what I wanted to, because that, Oda, you fit my clip perfectly. Thank you. Oda says, I also don't think Serena would be nearly as endearing of a character without Terry Hawk. Is it Hawk or Hawks? I don't want to pronounce it wrong.
Hawks, I think.
Hawk?
Well, yeah, there's an E. There's an S, rather.
Yeah, we're going to go with Hawks. All right. Terry Hawks and the sheer amount of emotional color she brings to what was seen as children's Saturday morning cartoon.
fully agree with that. I genuinely think that her voice acting is amazing. She gives so much personality to Serena and to Sailor Moon. I
That
love her. I love that voice.
it I've been thinking about this for a little while now and have thought to say it on stream. Her portrayal of Serena, and I'm going to use that name specifically, reminds me of when you are in a good role play with someone who like fully understands the character and how they behave, but it is their take on it rather than them trying to be like totally faithful to the way the material is written. And you're like, this is correct. It's off, but it's correct. And it's correct in a way that's deeply endearing. I'm going to use that word. But
Yes.
yeah, it feels
I
like someone's good role play take, is what I'm saying.
That is such a good way to put it. I love that. I genuinely that really captures it because you're right. It is not played straight exactly Usagi as she is portrayed canonically. It is an elevated take, a take with a perspective. But it is also a great take. It's a
Yeah, it's a
fantastic
delightful
take, and
take.
she sells the shit out of it.
Yeah, and like her all of the we can't possibly have silence in the DiC dub. We can't have any punchlines that are
No.
quiet. We have to talk the whole time. And like all of her improv is wonderful and so in character.
Some of the most off the wall improv too that I've
Yeah.
heard.
Yes, she is playing the character like she's on stage acting for the back row. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is the energy.
100%.
So we have a clip of Jupiter. My people aren't here, but receiving her exaltation, awakening as a Sailor Scout. To play that, Michi?
Yes, please. And because I think it shows off Terry Hawk's amazing Sailor Moon because it's that scream. Ugh. I like that one.
Yeah.
And then it's Jupiter and all that greatness. And, oh, by the way, you guys, you want to guess the name of the villain in English?
Oh my God.
It's great. Uda, you want to guess? Yes, and the yodel is peak. The yodel is a power move.
Okay, and I have my screen share set up whenever we're
Perfect.
ready.
All right. And the big old name, because I think it gets spoiled in this. If you guess it right, credit to you. But it's Game Machine Man.
Game Machine
Game
Man.
Machine
Okay.
Man.
Okay.
She's so different from Game Machine Joe.
He's too fast!
No bonus round for you, loser.
New player's up now, and you're headed for a bad fall!
The fourth sign!
Yeah! I'll get him! Wait! What? Lita, use this to transform. It's your best hope. How'd you learn to talk? No time to explain, Lita. Just trust me on this one. Take this stick and do what I say. Now say, Jupiter power! Jupiter power!
I love that she was like, how did you learn to talk? God.
I know. That's her main concern. Yet, the woman, her voice, Jupiter.
Her voice, no other Jupiter comes close for me, even like Japanese Jupiter. I just love her voice so much. It has such a specific sound to it. There's a little bit of crispiness. It's just so good for Jupiter. I love it.
The first thing under my notes on here just says, "Oh, I love her deep voice." I forgot how much I loved her deep voice. Yeah, iconic.
It's genuinely iconic. I think it's one of the strongest voices, not only because it's distinctive immediately from all the other voices. She does not sound anything like any of the other girls in any line. And because her acting is really strong. She's another character who's able to do that very over the top cartoonified acting without having it sound cheesy or overacted. I think I'm not sure what kind of voice direction was given to Mercury's VA, because there are definitely times when she is doing her, you have to enunciate more line read, where you can tell that she's been given some voice directions to do more with what she's doing, but also be reserved and proper and ingenious. She can't really work with. I don't want to bash the actor's performance when I suspect it was more an issue of being given directions that don't really work for the character she's trying to voice. But I think that Lita is such a strong voice performance. Her lines always sound really good.
I think the
Good.
shows are starting to blur together for me real quick. Because I edit both back to back. So this is great for me trying to remember which one's which. Did I not read us why Mercury sounds like Mercury from the book that Melvin wrote?
No,
No.
that was not a.
Oh, just one moment.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
We want to know. We
yeah,
want
we
to know.
do. We do wanna know.
Meanwhile, while that's being looked up, the other thing that I crucially need to point out about this episode, because I told you right at the beginning, good animation team, asterisk.
Asterisk.
If you watch on Patreon, you will discover in Patreon that there is a reason why I refer to the character as Six Finger Joe. And it's because there is literally a scene where it agonizingly made us go back and like frame by frame scan where they accidentally literally drew him with six fingers. It's not, oh, maybe it's confusing what those lines represented. They literally gave him six fingers. And I was like, hold up, go back. I think the dude has six fingers.
Okay, so for those of us, real quick, sorry.
All right.
Are you done?
Yeah. We were
Yep.
just killing time for you to find the book.
Thank you.
100%.
Okay, so for those of you who did not turn into the podcast version of Eternal Mooncast, this is the book I'm talking about. Melvin wrote it. No shit. Called Sailor Moon Reflections, and it's by Roland Parliament, who is the voice of Melvin. So all the voice actors actually talk about why they speak like they do in the anime. And I have it right here. It's a little bit long. Is that okay?
Yes,
It's
fine.
like,
I don't mind. Yeah.
I don't mind. Yes.
all right. So here in Susan's own words are her recollections of Sailor Moon audition process. It was a typical casting call with about 8 million actors in the room waiting their turn to go in and read. I had this theory about auditions. You do your best, then you go home and you forget about it. If you keep thinking about it, whether or not you got the part or whether or not you did a good read, you'll make yourself crazy. I seriously don't remember 99% of my auditions, which is probably why I'm still barely vague. Of course, we all wanted to be Sailor Moon. That's funny. I probably read for every single female character, but I remember thinking that of all of them, the one I liked the most and the one that I gravitated toward was Jupiter. In the breakdown, it said that her favorite color was green and that she loves horses.
That is wrong. That should be Neptune. Because Poseidon
horse
got
girl
it.
anime?
Horses. But sure. She
Sure.
loves horses.
I
Why
was
not?
like-
I could see her as a horse.
I
girl.
was waiting. You were like, and she loves, and I was that my brain was like, the next word is going to be cooking, and then you said
flowers.
horses.
Horses.
But this is not a knock on horse girls. We love a
I'm-
horse girl.
Well,
Like,
here's the horse girl Jupiter, but that's just not who she is.
Yes, it's just a thing they made up. It never comes up at any time.
my God, this book was worth every penny. All right. It's the other, and she, but Susan Roman said, and I thought that's my girl. So you know what?
She was right.
But yes, go horses. All right. Sailor Jupiter's voice is pretty close to my own voice. And it's true. I met her in person. She sounds just like Jupiter.
That's
Yes, cool. Yeah.
So
awesome.
cool. Just a bit raspier. Oh, so she purposely is raspier.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
that's
maybe-
cool. I love that.
That's the best part about it.
Yes. And she
Yeah,
said,
that-
maybe
that
that's
little bit
why
of
I'm
texture. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Of all the Sailor Scouts have such distinct voices. If you close your eyes, you tell right away who's speaking. Ooh. I was asked once if I found it hard to maintain some sort of femininity, voicing a character who's thought is such a tomboy. Okay, clearly we're not in season 3. And I said, it's funny. I never really thought of Lita as a tomboy. I thought of her as someone who just loved to get out there and do what made them happy. She was punchy and spunky and not afraid to tackle things head on. And maybe you
Yeah.
could call that tomboy characteristics. I don't know. I saw Lita as very feminine. Sometimes she talked too much. She changed her mind all the time. And she loved and supported her friends with all her heart. But
I
she
love
wasn't
this.
I love it. Yeah.
That's so good.
I brought this
her.
I brought this out on stream the other day, and I was just like, why haven't I been using this the whole time?
Yeah, what a magnificent understanding of the assignment.
Oh my God, no. You gotta read Luna's, though. It literally talks about C3PO being her inspiration. It's fucking majestic.
That's
Like,
actually amazing. That's spot on. That makes
Oh my-
so much sense.
Oh my
Holy
God,
shit.
of course it is.
Holy
Yeah,
shit, that's
C3PO
so good.
was her inspo.
Yeah, sorry we interrupted you. Please continue.
Yeah, I don't know. Why haven't I finished this book? All right. So back to Susan Roman. I also love that she had so many sides to her personality, the way we all do. She wasn't a one-dimensional cardboard character. She wasn't a stereotype. She wasn't predictable. I just loved being able to go so many places with her. And in terms of getting any pent up stress I had lying around, nothing helped clear the cobwebs better than my favorite battle cry. And it says in all capitals, Jupiter Thunder Zap. How can you not feel better after belting out words like that? Without a doubt, my favorite episode was Jupiter Comes Thundering In. That was the first episode I recorded, and it was definitely nerve wracking because I was still trying to figure out how to work Rhythmo Band. The Rhythmo Band was a very efficient, effective form of dubbing, but when you first saw it in action, all your brain cells instantly turned to mush. I remember thinking, oh my God, I'll never be able to do this. But after a while, I calmed down a bit and started to get the hang of it. And that first episode was so much fun to do. There were so many wonderful moments, so much action, so much real character to lead up. One minute she's soft and giggly, the next minute, like when she's losing at the arcade, she was highly pissed off and not afraid to show it. She was all over the place. What a refreshing surprise to see such a feisty girl rocket on a screen. No hold bars, just ready to be herself and get down to serious business.
Phenomenal. Love it. Yeah. I
Honest.
don't know what the thing she is referring to in that
The Rhythmo Band.
Rhythm band. Yeah.
Rhythm
And then
Band.
Ura
Must be
asks if that's the
something-
predecessor to ADR. And I don't know what any of those things are.
I'm
Oh.
from the context, I would guess because it's for dubbing, I would guess that it's something that in some way is teaching you the timing of the lines to fit them to the lip flaps. So I don't know what the machine is or how it works, but I suspect that's its purpose and is why it was so difficult to work with.
Yeah, and there's still a little more, so I'll keep going.
Yeah.
Let's see. She said, our recording schedule was really tight. There wasn't really any time to analyze the scene to death. We had to jump right in and do it. And oddly enough, I think that's why everything sounded so spontaneous and fresh. That's what gave Sailor Moon its unique appeal. I love working on the series, and I'll gladly do it all again in a thundering heartbeat. Oh my
So
gosh,
cool.
she
I-
did.
that
I love her.
genuinely makes me all the sadder that they didn't bring her back to do the Viz dub because
Yeah.
she's so good. She
She
was so
was.
good, and she would have been down.
Yeah.
And then Melvin just like talks about her, and it's real cute. And apparently, Susan's writing a book about gardening. Oh my God, Jupiter up you.
That's so cute.
But yeah, and Ami, that's why we brought this out. Karen Bernstein is a mysterious member of the cast. She is a very private person and is very reluctant to appear at conventions or other events. Nonetheless, here is her submission to the book. Being casted as Sailor Mercury and Sailor Moon resonates as one of the highlights of my life. It was such a fun series to be in. It was groundbreaking in its own way. I don't think there had been a girl superhero animation series before, and I know we all felt very honored and proud to be among the first representations of girl power. And the overwhelming response to it was so amazing. Even all these years later, when it comes up in conversation, I'm struck by what an impact it had on people. I loved being Sailor Mercury. All the scouts had unique and individual characteristics, which made them all interesting and believable. But I had a soft spot for the brainy bookworm that is Ami, or Amy. I'm just gonna be funny. I'm like, I had a specific voice for her that especially differentiated me from Katie Griffin, who played Mars. Our young voices sound quite similar at first, so we needed to be distinguished. I figured because Amy was an erudite and intelligent, her favorite reading material was probably encyclopedias and dictionaries. So not only would she have a vast vocabulary, she'd be very precise in her grammar and pronunciation. I would therefore decide she'd be extremely articulate, almost formal sounding in her delivery, but I also wanted her to be a typical teen, so I incorporated a bunch of word inflection in her voice. But the best, of course, was being able to go in the studios and getting to wail top of my lungs, Mercury Bubbles Blast. How great to fight crime with bubbles. And
You
that
can
is
tell-
all she
you
said.
can tell that she loved saying that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is the voice line that she goes the hardest on
Yeah.
every time.
Like, how
So
cute
that's-
is this? She's yes.
Yeah, it's really interesting as a note. And again, it makes me so upset because this is, for me, one of the strongest failings of the Viz stuff. That they noticed that the voices for Mars and Mercury sounded similar. They were in the same register. They sounded similar. And they were like, we have to find a way to differentiate these voices. And I think they did successfully make tweaks to the voice that is being used for Mars and the voice that is being used for Mercury that make them sound just effortlessly distinctive. And it's interesting to note that she decided basically, even if it makes Mercury sound awkward sometimes, I think she'd be a little awkward. And I'm cool with that. I actually, that makes me appreciate the vocal performance even more, knowing that sounds like it was intentional. I really like that. I do. God,
No, I was just gonna say that's why when you started talking, I'm like, I thought we talked about this. And I just had this deja vu moment where I'm like, oh wait, no, that was Ab from the book.
yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I want to put the comment that says it really puts into perspective how groundbreaking the series is up on the screen. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I guess it really was one of the first shows to a cartoon to have an all female cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And remains there.
Yeah, I think
That's
there were predecessor shows that were superpowered girls with girl gettings. Certainly Gem came out earlier, Gem and the Holograms, Rainbow Bright and all of her friends. I think they had a token boy. Strawberry Shortcake had a token boy.
The original
Shira, I was going to say,
Yeah.
Shira, Princess of Power. Like there were other shows, but I don't think those shows represented characters that were the same age range as the target audience for those characters. You've got Shira with very much grown women as the characters, and then you've got things like Rainbow Bright, Strawberry Shortcake. Like
Children.
those are
children. Yeah.
and it is great to see shows centered on girls that are powerful and doing cool stuff, but this is specifically like teenage girls with their teenage girlfriends fighting evil and saving the world. And it truly was groundbreaking. It had so much more of an impact than any of those shows ever did, especially because She-Ra, whatever, it was also a side grade to He-Man.
Yeah.
And it was a spin-off.
So I love the toys that made us. As a preface here. But She-Ra and Strawberry Shortcake and all of those Western shows are toy vehicles first and story second. And because Sailor Moon is based on a comic book, it's a story first. And then there was, of course, the toy vehicle that came with it. But so the buy-in for the child audience for these other Western cartoons and I think Gem too was also about selling dolls. Or I'm
Sure it was. I'm
but
sure it
like,
was.
But like the point of those things is to get a kid to pester their parents to get you all 6 Gem dolls, right? As opposed
Oh,
to
absolutely.
being a story for teens first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think obviously Sailor Moon, of course, ultimately became merchandised, but it was not merchandise driven in the way that, frankly, so much American media specifically is. Almost all American media for children is merchandise forward. It's merchandise led, but also mainstream media choices for all audiences, like Star Wars. All the modern vehicles and things are vehicles to sell BB-8s to kids and figurines and things like that. All of your Disney princess movies, those are meant to sell toys. Frankly, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, those are all meant to sell toys.
Yeah.
That's not to say that Japanese shows don't do this too.
Of
They
course,
sure
of
do.
course, of course they do. Of course they do. What is it, Beyblade? Is that a Japanese show?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's to sell Beyblades or whatever.
And then we should bring up Oda's comment. I
Pokemon.
feel like the Viz cast is fine, but they're all on the wrong characters.
Interesting. I
So-
haven't watched the Viz dub at all.
I would say some of them do sound like they're on the wrong characters, but also the problem is genuinely about 3 of them all sound exactly the same. I have specifically the biggest problem with Mars and Luna, because when I'm working on a cosplay, I'll put on Sailor Moon in the background and I'll put on I was putting on the Viz dub for a while because I hadn't watched it yet. And because I'm not watching it at all times, I'm often listening while I'm working. There were so many points at which I was very confused at the lines being delivered feeling out of character because I was wrong about which character was actually speaking. And that tells me the voices are way too close, way not differentiated enough. And it's such a shame that was overlooked in the casting when it was 25 years earlier, very clearly given so much attention when DiC did it, even though DiC cast it and dubbed the show in 5 minutes.
Yeah. And then Oda just finishing up. Yes, I think what she says is very valid. The girls in a multifaceted and dimensional and have flaws and arcs, and like She-Ra and Strawberry Shortcake are all very one-dimensional.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
No argument whatsoever.
And then, Oda, you're so lucky. At one panel I've seen Karen Bernstein at, when asked to repeat her favorite line, she did say Mercury's Bubbles Blast.
Yeah, of course.
That's so cute.
Not at all surprised. We have 4 more episodes to go through, so I think we should move on to the summary of the next episode.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do
Darn.
it.
Okay, next episode, promise.
That was a great tangent. I'm not mad that we went on it, but we do need to move on.
We do.
Episode 22 of the DiC dub, which is episode 26 of the Japanese. Our English title is The Power of Friendship. The title of episode 26 in Japanese is Restore Naru's Smile, Usagi's Friendship. Normally I'm gonna hand it to the English title, but this is leaving out the fact that like kind of the crux of this episode is about Molly getting over her grief.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with that set up, take it away. Give us the summary of this funky little episode.
You got it. This is a wild episode.
This is
All
a
right.
wild episode.
We open on Tuxedo Mask in a dream, dreaming of a silhouette with Odango, telling him to find the silver crystal. He wakes up in a sweat. He goes out on his balcony and wonders, am I Tuxedo Mask? Am I Tuxedo Mask? Anyway, cut away. Meanwhile, Zoe sights Zoe's again and sees what is very clearly a priest. In the entirety of the DiC episode, they will never call attention to the fact that this man is literally a priest, but he's very clearly a priest. Cut back over to Serena. She's in class. She notices that Molly hasn't come to school for the past week. She's clearly still mourning Nephrite. And she's Melvin. I gotta go to her house. I gotta cheer her up. All right, Serena, I'll go too. They go there. They see her. She looks real sad. Melvin is terrible at the whole thing. He's very emotionally insensitive, says all the wrong shit. Serena is constantly aggravated with him.
My boy did nothing but missing social cues this entire time.
Oh, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Hard. Molly surprisingly smiles and we should go out. She's trying. She's clearly trying somehow to engage with life. Meanwhile, Luna is with the other girls. She infodumps to them about the need to find the silver crystal. I don't remember there being a ton of info that she gave in the DiC version. In the Japanese version, she does fully tell them about the silver crystals, about the fact that the silver crystal is powerful enough to blow up a planet. They're like, whoa. And it's been split into the rainbow crystals. But the Crescent Moon Wand can track the rainbow crystals, and that's how we're going to find them. So Ray is instantly very against Serena having the Crescent Moon Wand and specifically being the team leader. I don't think she should be the team leader. She sucks. We should have someone else be the leader. And Luna's, Amy, what do you think? And Amy's and then fucking pinches Amy until Amy painfully agrees that maybe they shouldn't let Serena be the leader, which is horrifying. Meanwhile, Lita straight up believes in her. No, I think she's going to be great. I think she's going to be a great leader and I believe in her and I'm all for it. And in fact, I'm going to call her on the communicator right now and get her to join the meeting. She calls her, but Serena's sorry about with my friend Molly right now. Can't come. And they're all like, oh gosh, Serena, she can't get it together and focus on the mission and blah, blah, blah. I think this is such an interesting episode for Serena's choices around when she, quote unquote, blows off her superhero work because other things are also important enough to her to make them a priority. And that's not fully appreciated by the other characters and won't be appreciated by them for a very long time. But I think it's really important as a character beat. We can come back to that. Ceresa's out with Molly. They went to a graveyard for some reason. Molly sees the pastor in the graveyard. She's asking him for advice because she's someone that I care about died. And I don't even have anything up theirs. And he comforts her. But then Zoe-Sight's Zoe. And Molly has a trauma flashback because she knows Zoe-Sight from the murder of Nephrite and freaks out about it. Luna, meanwhile, has told Serena to follow the signal from the Crescent Moon Wand. They're following it, and she calls the girls to try to get them help. Zoisite, meanwhile, has tried to use the Zoe crystal on the pastor. Molly interferes because she's great. Sailor Moon shows up. Zoisite goes, Zoe. The orange crystal pops out. Pastor turns into, the Japanese name is Boxy, a boxer who's also a harpy of some kind. I think this must be a reference to some specific historical person, both because the character design is very unusual versus other characters in Sailor Moon with his like weird spiky hair and things, and because he has really specific weird lines that he delivers as he's attacking. Like his main line he says is, I'm the champion, lovely punch. But then he also at one point says, I am the king of kings, which I guess could be a reference to Jesus. But I feel like there must also be some boxer out there who says, who iconically says, like, it just feels like it's a reference to somebody that I don't get. Tuxedo Mask appears to help. He drops the star locket. Jupiter arrives, zaps the Yoma's glove. Sailor Moon heals him. He turns into, in Japanese, there's a scene which is cut in the English dub where he turns into this priest all dressed in white with flowers behind him and starts talking about believing in God and God loves you for no reason. Tuxedo Mask gets the crystal this time and he fucks off. He turns back into Mamoru and he sees that he has this crystal as, oh, damn, I really am Tuxedo Mask. Oh, shit. Meanwhile, Molly is wrapping Melvin's arm. She's using Nephrite's bandage to do it, which is obviously very symbolic for her because Melvin had protected him. And she says, you know what, I'll start going back to school soon. And then Usagi listens to the music coming from the locket, and that's the episode.
So one of the biggest things that bothered me about that is that the temple scene is just them trash talking Usagi for 5 minutes.
Yes.
In Japanese, it's Luna going, please believe in her. She's clearly the chosen leader. The Moonstick chose her. We need to give her a chance. You guys need to believe in her. And the only person who's really not on board is Ray.
Yes.
And Ray's being a real bitch about it.
Yeah. Ray is really dick in both of them. But she's the only dick in Japanese. Yeah. Interestingly, in Japanese, like Luna says, she specifically wants Sailor Moon to be the leader because she thinks that having to have a role will help her build confidence, which is interesting. And then she really is excited when Jupiter sticks up for her. She's, oh yes, Jupiter is taking my side. She believes in her. This is the most pro Moon I've ever seen Luna be, and it's really downplayed in the DiC version, which is such a shame.
Makoto I don't really know her very well, but I'm willing to put my faith in her. Let's call her and ask her to come. Yeah. And then she does. And then Usagi's, we're in Chinatown eating lots of food. Goodbye.
Yes. Another change that was made between the Japanese and the DiC version, and while I think it is a very impactful change, it's also a harsh change that I think does some of the characters real dirty, is in the Japanese version, once they realize there's a threat and Sailor Moon, Usagi is following the beeping from the Moonstick, Luna says, call Makoto, she's in the area. And so Usagi specifically calls Makoto, who's by herself, and she starts running to reach them. That's not what happens in DiC. In DiC, she calls all the girls. And because Mars and Mercury are not supporting her, they blow her off. They literally don't show. And it's, wow, that would be way more of a thing. Way more of a thing. It's not that it doesn't, it's that you can certainly write it that way given what's happened in the episode leading up to it. But what a choice. What a fucking choice. Especially like, if it was one thing for Mars to bully Mercury into being like, I don't know if we should support Usagi, let's see what happens. It's another thing for her to have been like, Amy, you got to take my side, pinch her leg. And then Mercury's, yeah, I agree. We should blow off this dangerous situation that's occurring because we're on strike about her being leader. Insane. Insane. I try to defend a lot of DiC's decisions, but while I think that one is certainly dramatic, I think it's bad characterization.
I agree.
Yeah. And then Oda coming in and asking, how has Molly's PTSD not caused severe agoraphobia?
Great question.
Molly, I think Molly deserves to be like, by all rights, she's gone through so much that it would be understandable if she did develop something like agoraphobia. And it makes me happy for her that she is fortunate enough not to experience that, because I'm glad that instead she gets to be the person she is, who takes the next step to do a good thing when she can do a good thing. I think Molly is a great character. Again, we will lose her more and more as the seasons go on, but she's fantastic. Love her.
Yeah,
I mean,
agreed.
the DiC dub also cuts out or minimizes Luna explaining how powerful the silver crystal is.
Oh, 100%. It is not.
I don't
not
remember anything
remotely-
about that.
Yeah. I don't know that she even necessarily says anything other than we're supposed to look for the silver crystal.
Yeah, 'cause
She doesn't.
The beginning of the temple scene is Luna talking about why the silver crystal is significant and why the bad guys want it because it's super powerful. And she specifically calls out, which I find interesting in the context of the whole story. Luna specifically calls out here that the silver crystal has the ability to destroy a planet.
Really?
Yes, she literally says it could destroy a planet.
That's interesting.
No
Yeah.
parallels to anything else later on.
No.
No, none whatsoever. Another thing that was a funny little detail is that they decided not to mention that they're in I guess Tokyo's Chinatown. That's where they go to eat.
Yep.
Gonna go get some dim sum. Can't blame them. I would too. They leave that out, which I find odd, especially given the Americanization of the DiC dub, because American kids sure do also like Chinese food.
Yeah.
Right.
and
I assume that major Canadian cities probably also
That's
have a
Chinatown, yeah.
Chinatown district.
Yes, surely. And Melvin's whole deal is that he's really excited to go get some Peking duck.
Yep.
That's cute.
Yeah, and they left that out.
Yep.
Aw.
They could have changed it into a Americanized Chinese food dish instead. He could have been really craving lo mein or jungle sows or something like that. They could have done that, and the beat would be the same. But they didn't. They did. He doesn't talk. They don't talk about food at all. I don't think.
So it's interesting because I don't know in Japan how high end of a food Peking duck is.
Yeah.
In the US, I certainly think of that as being a very high end food here.
Yeah.
You can't just go anywhere and get Peking duck for cheap. Yeah, I think of it as another sign of like how rich these kids are. They're all like, let's get Peking ducks.
But it says the scenes that were cut to make space for additional ads sometimes make no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they certainly they cut a lot from this episode because they were trying to somehow make this priest episode not religious.
Yeah, there's a lot of effort in the DiC dub to not indicate that this obvious priest is a priest. He's dressed like a Jesuit. He's in a Christian graveyard.
He's got the collar.
He's got the collar. He's wearing a rosary. Molly specifically, Naru in Japanese, specifically goes, oh, there's a member of the clergy. I'm going to approach him and ask him about my grief. She makes the decision to speak to a religious figure about her grief. It is a choice that makes sense.
Yep. Not
And
just some
instead-
kindly gentleman who hangs out in graveyards.
Yeah, they even call him father, right? Yeah, he's obviously a priest. It's just very funny that church was too hot for church for the Canadian dub.
Yep. Yep.
Can't have. We're drawing the line at Catholicism, lads.
Yep. The episode is not good, but it is good, in my opinion. It's so janky, but I think that to me, this episode is establishing Usagi as the leader and what characterizes her specifically as the leader of this team and who she is as a superhero. This idea that the girls were obviously so let down by the fact that when they called her to come to a meeting for this thing that they consider the most important, she didn't come. And they were just like, oh, she's off getting lunch. She said she's out with friends getting lunch. She has no commitment. She doesn't. They question her commitment to Sparkle Motion. And I think that this is such an important moment in a way that I don't think any of them realize of Usagi showing that what defines her as a person and what makes her special in this narrative, special in the world in the way that she's characterized, is that she will, when she cares about someone, that comes ahead of anything anyone tells her she's supposed to do. You're supposed to have these priorities. This is supposed to be the most important thing. And because it's the most important thing, you should be willing to make any decisions to those ends. This is, I think we see the example of this, of the divergent perspective in Uranus and Neptune, who very much have the other than each other. Literally, they will burn down anything for the sake of saving the world, for the sake of that mission. But Usagi is the polar opposite, where it doesn't matter if she could do the straightforward thing that everyone expects her to do and the world would be saved. If in the process, she acted like, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't that important that Molly is isolating herself after this traumatic depression that she's going through. No, it is also always important to be human. It is always important also to show up for our friends and to care, make sure that we do make time for them, even if we're a superhero. I think that is so incredible of her. And the fact that this episode about helping Molly deal with her trauma is written as the same episode as establishing people's lack of confidence in whether Usagi is a good leader, that feels like such a deliberate decision to me. And I stand by that decision so much. Like I said, this is a bad episode, but it's a good episode in that sense.
Do we recommend it?
No.
If you go into it for the perspective that I just gave you, yes, I think it's important, but it's bad. It's so bad.
You may enjoy the 30-second clips of Hawkman Boxer saying, I'm a champion in English, and then Lovely Punch. Yes.
Yep. Which he will say so many times.
Ready so many times. It's only funny once. Oh, we are talking about recommending episodes for someone's like cherry picked list. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have a couple more comments I think we need to catch up with that we didn't go with before we go to the next episode.
Okay.
So
talking about the removal of the other religious imagery, that's a good point.
yeah. But it said I don't know. It said, according to the wiki, his turning into a boxer could be a reference to the priest from The Exorcist, who boxes as stress relief.
Okay, that makes as much sense as anything else.
Why the hell not?
Yeah.
He looks Freddie Mercury. I don't know why.
He does. Oh my god, I love it.
Hold on.
And then,
I'm going to look up Priest Exorcist. I want to see what he looks like.
does he look like the priest?
Priest Exorcist movie. Oh my God. No, not the Pope's Exorcist, whatever that is. Let's see. Minus Pope. Let's see what happens.
You're right. It is. Get the 90s anime stuck in the 80s, and you're damn straight.
Didn't the first couple episodes come out? God, wasn't it like 1992? So it would have been,
yeah.
So it would have been like really early 90s.
He does not look like the priest from The Exorcist. It could still be a reference to that, but none of the design beats look like him with that spiky hair or anything.
I also thought maybe it was a pun, like a Japanese pun.
That's the other
I don't know.
possibility. Maybe word X sounds like word
Why?
A pun that everyone thinks.
Priest, boxer, and hawk all sound like similar. And I could see
Exactly.
something like that, but I don't know.
I don't know.
My uneducated guess. Yeah, so I guess that puts us in a position to move on to episode. We have one more comment?
One more comment, and then I did have one piece of trivia I just wanted to give.
Sure.
It also said the anime really wanted Rei to be the Tsundere character because she was the favorite character of the animation team IIR.
I would believe that.
I believe it.
Yeah, I believe.
And then this was just the funniest piece of trivia. And it says, when Lita describes how she and Sailor Moon defeated Game Machine Man, Rei says, with a little assistance from Tuxedo Mask. However, Tuxedo Mask never showed up during the battle. Darian wasn't even in the episode. I was cackling at that. So I had to include that. Love the Sailor Moon wiki.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go. Next episode.
Okay, so episode 23 of the DiC dub is called Mercury's Mental Match. Pretty good title.
Mercury's mental match.
Like it.
The title of episode 27 is Crushing on Ami, the boy who can see the future.
Cute.
Okay, Bokushi means, we put this the most recent comment up. So sounds like I am pretty close to being right about the pun. Bokushi means priest in Japanese. Is pronounced like, his name is pronounced like Boxy in English.
Yep.
So,
And the Yoma name is literally Boxy.
Boxy, which would be,
Boxy. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it was in fact a pun. There must be again some other pun to do with the fact that he also looks like a bird. But
okay. So also I want to call out that on episode 27, we get the new iconic opening theme. It's the same song, but the new animation with this is stunning. I was blown away. I had forgotten that this is where it changed. And when it came on, I was just filled with wonder for a moment.
It's a new closing animation too.
Yeah. And a new song. This is the iconic one with the fountains.
Is that the same as DiC?
It is not.
No. DiC has the same opening and closing throughout the series.
No,
never.
They don't have the rights to the.
Yeah, because you guys were confusing the hell out of me. I'm like, were we in the same room?
Yeah, no, this is Japanese only. Japanese obviously has multiple openings and closings for the seasons. English, the DiC, only has the one forever. And it's a banger, but it's just the one. They could have let Bob cook more, and they did.
Let Bob
could have cooked more.
Yeah,
we know he's got it in him.
We know that they didn't have the rights to the opening animations, which is bizarre, but it is what it is. The DiC dub does not have this beautiful new opening theme, which I believe will remain the opening theme for the opening animation for the rest of the season.
I believe so. Which would make sense. We haven't got that many episodes left to go.
Yeah. Okay. So take it away with the summary.
All right. Open on the fact that Beryl's pissed that Tuxedo Mask got a crystal. Zoe says, I'll take care of it. Then we cut to Amy walking to school. A kid behind her, Greg from her school, warns her, hey, watch out. She's like, for what? And then an I-beam from a construction fight narrowly misses killing her. At school, we find out that Lita and Serena did terribly on a test because they're icons. Meanwhile, Greg, this kid, got 1 point higher than Amy on the recent test. And Amy's passion to study. Serena's talking to this kid, Greg. He flashes back to a time when Amy handed him his eraser and it's don't stress so much. He fell in love with her. And then he vowed that he was going to work hard to match her so that he could profess his love. He tells Usagi this, but says, yes, they named him Greg. I love that they named him Greg.
Greg is perfect. Greg is most adorable.
He does have Greg energy.
Yes,
very Greg energy.
So he tells Usagi all of this and says, but Amy's like a real genius. I'm just a pale imitation. Serena's how you got the same grades. And then he warns Serena about water, but too late, and someone dumps water on her from above. Meanwhile, Ray and Darian are out on a date. She's clinging to his arm, trying to have a great time, trying to make a conversation with him. Meanwhile, in his head, he's so if I'm Tuxedo Mask and I have to listen to what she tells me, and I have to find these crystals and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And Ray's, are you even listening to me? And he's, oh, yeah, I'm listening. Whatever you said is right. Yeah. Because he's a great boyfriend. Cut back to Serena. She's getting food with Greg. She's, look what I got you. It's this genuinely super cute picture of Amy caught off guard in the midst of eating a hamburger. She's got the hamburger and she's surprised looking at the camera. It's genuinely really cute picture. She's already scheming to get them together because she's they're in love and I'm going to make this happen for my friend. Zoe sees Greg as his next target. Meanwhile, Serena's taking Amy to go meet Greg, but Zoisite ambushes him. He already knows what's up. He's, oh, you're here for my rainbow crystal because I'm a Yoma, blah, blah, blah. I would rather die than be a Yoma. He tries to resist. Zoisite zoys him. Moon and Mercury are nearby. They hench. Mercury runs off with Greg to try to get him to safety while Moon holds off Zoisite. I love that was Moon's leadership plan. It was great leadership. She was like, Mercury, you can't hold off an enemy. Take Greg and go. I will hold Zoisite here. And then Zoe's like, I don't have time for this. Zoe, and just the flurry of flower petals surround Sailor Moon so that Zoe's like, fuck off. Greg tells Mercury that she's Amy. He's, I know you're Amy. She's shocked. Moon is tracking them with her wand. We'll come back to a cut moment in the Japanese. which was a good cut in my. Greg tells Amy he can see the future and he knows that she's Amy, and she denies it all. She's, I don't know where you got those ideas, but they sure are untrue. He's okay, whatever, but you have to kill me if I become a monster. And she's, no, I'm not going to do that. Future sight or not, the future belongs to us, and you can make your own fate. And I think you need to. It's a great moment for Mercury. It shows why he's in love with her. Zoisite zoys him again, gets the yellow crystal. Greg turns into a Swiss Army knife Yoma for some reason. Attacks Zoisite. Zoisite brainwashes him even harder. I shouldn't have glossed over that. He turns into a Swiss Army knife Yoma. Theoretically, as a Yoma, he should attack the scouts. But to the surprise of Zoisite and the surprise of the scouts, even as a Yoma, he attacks Zoisite. And Zoisite is like, what the fuck? You've still got a human heart in there. So then Zoisite brainwashes him even harder. Finally, he starts attacking the scouts like he's supposed to. Moon tries to heal him. It fails. They need to weaken him first. Mars fires Soul. Jupiter Supreme Thunder. They attack his weapons. And then Mercury, Shab and Spray. Sailor Moon uses Moon Tiara magic, but not in the typical way. Her tiara pops onto his forehead and jolts him in the head, like a little electroshock therapy. And this weakens him enough that they can use Moon Healing Activation. In this case, Mercury gets the yellow crystal. Tuxedo Mask shows up, sees Mercury get the yellow crystal, and is like, oh, that's okay, and leaves. Meanwhile, back in real life, Greg is like getting on a train to go, I don't know, probably some private school. He gives Amy back the hamburger picture. I shouldn't have this. She gives him, here's a photo of me that I like. I want you to have this. And then he leaves on the train. And then we get the new gorgeous closing credit sequence. That's the episode.
That is the episode. Let's see. The DiC dub cuts the bizarre nightmare that, okay, first off, the kid's name is Rio Urawa.
Yeah, it's Rio. Yep.
Rio. Yeah. And in that scene before he turns into a monster, he's lying on a park bench and she's talking to him, and he has this nightmare of cutting all of her clothes off.
It is the most upsetting, horny thing I've ever seen. One of the most horny animation sequences in the whole series that I've ever seen. It's very upsetting.
My note just says, thank you, horny animation team, because this is the horny animation team who has clocked in for this.
When did they clock in? I thought they left.
No, we're
Upsettingly.
stuck with them.
Upsetting. It is so upsetting.
Yeah, I'm honestly glad they cut that.
Same.
It's the first time I've ever been happy for the DiC dub censorship. It is bizarre. This is the episode where I have the note that says this is so incredibly tokusatsu, and in parentheses, this is derogatory. The monster he turns into is named Bunbu.
Yep.
Bunbu says Bunbu and shoots knives. Also gets bigger when knocked into the water or after Zoisite brainwashes him more. There's a little make my monster grow happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah, he looks like that. We need to form Megazord to defeat him.
And when I say he has Swiss Army knives for hands, as you can see there, I'm not being figurative. Literally,
No.
they were like, his weapon is Swiss Army knives. He shoots out the different pieces that come out of a Swiss Army knife. Although I don't think he shoots the tweezers at any point.
One is the Swiss Army scissors, and the other's like a compass. And I'm guessing the compass is supposed to be because he's like a genius. And then we learned he's not actually a genius. He just can predict the future and know the answer to the questions. And I understand why he has the horny nightmare that he's afraid he's going to become the monster and he's going to hurt her, right? But
But it didn't need to be horny.
Didn't need to be. I mean,
disturbingly non-con horny.
this animation team said it had to be because they're also the people who love to draw people tied up in bathtub. So I'm not surprised. They're also real into covering people in goo. Just this is the horny animation team. Thanks, guys. And we will be stuck with them for the rest of the series. Thanks, dudes. I forgot that everyone says refresh when they get
when they get healed. Every character refresh and they stick their arms up. Yes. Refresh.
Because it's the animation, they still stick their arms up.
They
cut out the part where everyone yells refresh at the end. I think the DiC dub just makes them like vocalize instead.
Such a good choice.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I guess if you wanted them to say something in English, they could just be like, "I'm healed," but that would be just as stupid. Why would we say like that?
I feel like it's one of those things that I suspect there's a different immersive type of suspension of disbelief in Japanese media of certain types than there is in American media, because I think you see also, for example, in a lot of Japanese media where characters do attacks, they also say the names of their attacks out loud. Sailor Moon is a great example. Jupiter Supreme Thunder. And that's not in an American derived show. That would never originate from an American show unless they were specifically calling back to that tradition in Japanese fighting shows. And so that's fully accepted within the context of what is expected by viewers there. And so maybe viewers there are more likely to be fully comfortable with people going, refresh. Whereas over here, we're like, Mentos, the fresh mint.
Yeah, I
Right?
feel like that refresh thing is also part of the tokusatsu vibes that all of the 90s Sailor Moon has.
Valid. Yep.
Yeah, and this is just my personal opinion. I'm much more willing to put up with tokusatsu bullshit in a cartoon than I am watching real
absolutely.
people do it.
Absolutely.
Sorry to all of my friends who are like, you should watch Kamen Rider, and I'm like, I can't. Sorry. Only when I'm sick.
It's so much of a harder adjustment to make from what we're used to as an audience.
Yeah, very much. Let's see. Do I have any other notes for this episode?
I got one piece of trivia. The events of this episode, particularly Sailor Mercury's advice to him, inspired Greg to help fight against the Dark Kingdom in later episodes.
Yeah, Greg
show back
is
up?
not, he does at least once, I believe, show back up.
Yeah, and
She has her own movie. Isn't he in her movie?
yeah, I think so, because he's like a love, like he's like a hardcore love it. Yeah, I won't run away from love anymore. Amy versus Mamo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because he does say at the end of the episode he's going to come back.
Yeah, because his dad works a job.
Yeah, it's cool that got paid off. Oh, there's a good exchange that the lines got completely changed again in the deep depth for no reason, where the Crescent Moon Wand is going off, and Luna is trying to convince Usagi of the danger of the situation. And then Usagi says, you make it sound like he's a monster. And then Luna goes, because he is. So good.
No, I think it's the previous episode where Serena and Luna have an exchange about the moon wand because Serena had dropped it on her way to run off and do something. And Luna was like, you dropped this by the river when you ran off. And Serena's, that doesn't sound like me.
Like she's
So
like,
funny.
totally does not believe her. She's
Funny.
sure.
That doesn't sound like me.
Welcome back. Hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your 10-minute break, drank some water, stayed hydrated. Let's get right back into it. We are at episode 24 of the DiC dub titled An Artful Attack, and its equivalent, episode 28, The Painting of Love, Usagi and Mamoru Get Closer. Japanese title once again giving away the plot.
It does, but interestingly, after I do the summary, let's revisit that Japanese title a little.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, in this episode, we cut in, Beryl is pissed at Zoisai. Beryl's like, yo, at this point, you failed to get 2 of the rainbow crystals. The next target that they come up with is an artist. Serena, here's the one where she drops the moon wand. Serena drops the moon wand while she's rubbing off with Molly to go see an art show. In this art show, they're looking at all the paintings, they're talking about them. There's like a self-portrait, and she's, wow, she's so beautiful. Do you think she's really that beautiful? They look at all the other portraits. There's definitely like at least one there that looks very much like Usagi and Mamo. The artist is also there. She's peeking around trying to see what people think of her work. She hasn't revealed herself as the artist. She sees Serena and Darian. She's, oh, look at that person. Both of them see a painting that looks just like them, but with Serena in this pink unitard. There's a reason. Like, she was like, I have all these dreams about this couple. The woman is in a pink unitard. But it's whatever. Serena sees that Darian is now talking to the artist outside, and she's like holding onto his sleeve and looking really closely at him. And she's, oh my God, he's cheating on Ray. She rushes out there to give him a piece of her mind. You're cheating on Ray. I have to let her know. This is so fucked up. I was just talking to this girl. It's whatever. The artist, I want you both to model for me. They agree. I buy that from Serena. I don't really buy it from Darian, but they go to her house. She must be really successful because she has a really nice house and she's an artist. Serena, they're chatting as she's working. Serena really doesn't like the fact that the artist feels like and by the way, I'm sorry, I didn't even catch her DiC name. I don't remember what it was.
Her DiC name was, I have this written down, Peggy.
Peggy.
Peggy. Wow. No one's named Peggy in any country. All right, Peggy. But Peggy, such a name for this concept of an artist who feels like she's too dowdy to be a dramatic exotic artist. You can't be Peggy and be a famous artiste. I actually genuinely love, therefore, Peggy as a name for her. Okay. Serena really doesn't like that Peggy pretends she looks differently in her self-portraits and hides who she is at gallery shows because she thinks she's too ugly to be taken seriously as an artist. This is really important to Serena. She really takes an interest in this artist, and it really bothers her that she feels so self-conscious and doesn't feel like she is a special, amazing person in her own right, despite everything about her. Her artist said, Peggy says that all the drawings come from her dreams. Her drawings that she draws include images that we see both in the opening credits. She literally paints the couple with the blimp behind them, and the closing credits, the first closing credit sequence where there's the silhouetted couple on the lake. So clearly, because of her Yoma past self, she has this connection to the past lives of Endymion and Serenity, and it's coming out through her dreams, and she's painting that into her art, which is interesting, and I wish it was explored even more, but it's cool. She has a painting there also of a woman giving a man, specifically the star locket. Usagi, they leave, and Usagi notices that the crescent moon wand is beeping again, so she follows it back to Peggy's house. Like Zoi's the green crystal. Peggy turns into a beautiful angel Yoma that can create things out of the air by drawing them. Usagi calls the gang to come join. Meanwhile, the Yoma is dropping rocks on Sailor Moon. Tuxedo Mask appears and saves her. Zoisite runs off, and he follows Zoisite off into a nearby construction site that happens to be there. Sailor Moon tries to convince the Yoma to remember herself. Because again, this is a person she connected to. She's just seen that Greg can fight the Yomification. So you don't have to do this. Be strong. Come back to yourself. The gang appears to help fight the Yoma. Sailor Moon's like, all right, you guys got this. I'll be right back. She follows Tuxedo Mask and Zoisite. Zoisite and Tuxedo Mask are facing off. But as usual, when Tuxedo Mask faces off against one of the Negaverse generals, he has nothing to bring to the table. Zoisite is immediately about to kill him with a giant, sharp piece of crystal, chucks it at him. Fortunately, Sailor Moon speedily leaps into action and zaps the crystal with Moontiera magic before it can hit him, saving his life. Zoisite disappears. In the process, Sailor Moon drops the star locket, and she's like, oh, you dropped this last time you were here. You must want it back. And he's actually, you can keep it. Oh, that's so nice of you. Can I also have the rainbow crystal that you got? Which is her being on point, being on the mission. Good for her.
Yeah.
And he's, oh no, I'm keeping that. I'm going to get all of those, including yours. We're not on the same side. I'm on the me side. I will come for your rainbow crystal later. Anyway, I got to bounce by. And he leaves.
Yeah.
Sailor Moon comes back. The girls have weakened the Yoma. She heals the Yoma. Refresh. Peggy, back in her human form, has closed her recent exhibition and is in the process of reopening a new one, but now with a new self-portrait that shows her real face. And she's, Serena, you really gave me the confidence to show who I really am. It's very cute. The episode is janky, but there's heart in it. That's the episode. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
I don't have a lot to say about this episode. She turns into Yoma, and then I wouldn't stop making Grimes Art Angels album jokes.
Yeah. So
her name is Yumemi Yumeno in Japanese.
Yep.
And somehow that became Peggy Jones.
Yeah, sure.
like I said, I actually, for the concept of this episode, I love that her name is Peggy. She's the most Peggy concept. Yep.
I agree. Yeah. We have a comment in the chat about self-acceptance.
Got it.
Grab that. That's a good point.
Yeah, you want to read it out?
Yeah, the self-acceptance message is super important for the target audience. I think
so.
That's a great point.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the best part about this episode, which is the snooze.
I
Yeah.
can't remember
So-
if it's good or bad.
What was that?
Was the Sailor Moon says in this episode good or bad?
I don't remember.
Confusing.
They were all, yeah. Sometimes the episode had a really good moral and then they went with something different. This could have easily been one of those.
Yeah, I seem to recall us, and please go watch these episodes on Patreon to see us sitting through these episodes and commenting on them in real time. And we do comment on all of the Sailor Moon says. Uh,
100%.
this batch of episodes had a lot of Sailor Moon says where we were like, that wasn't the message of the episode. You made some shit up. The message of the
didn't have
episode
one.
had one, and you decided it meant something else.
Completely. 100%.
Yep. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, things I like about this is the past life shit. I go nuts for that. I love that kind of nonsense.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, the star-crossed lovers thing. Mamoru being a surly butthead while he's trying to model. So there's a bunch of things about this episode that are charming, but I'm gonna say it's a pretty boring episode.
I would tend to agree. My main note about this episode, and I said right at the beginning, we're going to come back to that Japanese title. The Japanese title for this is The Painting of Love. Usagi and Mamoru get closer. No, they don't. No. There are plenty of episodes where you could say, oh, with the beginning, they were both involved in this and they both argued about it and blah, blah, blah. But then they came to the same understanding and blah, blah, blah. That doesn't happen. Sailor Moon does all the work of helping Peggy with her. Serena does all of that. She's the one invested with Peggy. She's the one who cares about the fact that Peggy's insecure and things like that. And the only thing that Darien, and it's true in Japanese too, the only thing he gives a shit about is, I don't really want to be here. I'm not really into modeling. That's whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like,
He's
he
so
and
surly
complains
through the
about,
whole
like, he's
thing.
mad to be sitting next to Serena and just terrible in this, frankly. He just sucks. Like, I think Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask, you could argue that they are in the process of quote unquote getting closer, because she had the thing where she was like, she starts chasing after him because she's worried. She's, oh, strong. She's like, oh, you must want this back. And he's, oh, you know what? It's special, but you can keep it and blah, blah, blah. You can see there's a growing affection between Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask. But there is, Usagi and Mamoru do not get closer. He contributes nothing in this. He is just present.
Yes. Yeah. He's, for a guy who got aged up in the anime, he's really acting like a teen here.
Yes.
Like
He is.
Like a cranky 17-year-old boy, which is what he's supposed to be.
Mhm.
But later, like, no, he's an adult and a college student. You're like, at your big age, you're acting like this?
Honestly.
At your big age, you're like, Bird is stupid. Molly's dumb.
Yeah. Just to be fair, that is consistent behavior with the dude who frequently beefs with middle schoolers.
Oh,
True.
yeah. No.
True. At no point is there any excuse for the fact that one of his great joys in life is just beefing with middle school.
And this even ends in the episode, the next episode we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I have a lot to
part
say
where,
about that.
yeah,
There's a part where even in Japanese, Mamoru refers to
Usagi and Makoto as the Odango head, dumpling head, and the giant.
That's also like she's a fucking freak.
Like
Shots fired unprovoked. The girl has done nothing to him. Makoto has never said the least negative word to him, and he was just like, "You fucking freak ass tall girl."
What the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
seriously. There is one piece of trivia I thought you guys might like. Oh yeah, because this bugged the shit out of me. When Usagi calls the Sailor Senshi and Luna on her communicator, Luna can be seen in Usagi's room, despite just talking to Usagi on the street, presumably a few seconds ago.
Lives really close by.
Luna like yeet herself up to the room.
Maybe she was like standing right outside of Usagi's house and just like,
Maybe they're neighbors. Yo,
Maybe.
maybe they're like 2 houses down.
Maybe. And then Una says, real quick, the Sailor says is sometimes I'll way up Mark. Yes.
Yeah.
And then, hey, he showed up. I guess I gotta count. We have got to stop giving men credit for the bare minimum.
I watched somewhat recently someone's video where they pass on a piece of advice they had received, and I love it so much. I do it all the time now, where anytime that a man like wants credit or someone is trying to give a man credit for doing absolutely anything that is just like a normal human thing that a person should do, in your head, you should go, wow, the bare minimum. And anytime that happens, I'm like, wow, the bare minimum.
Oh my god.
That's
So
great.
effective. So
Delightful.
effective.
Oh, I want to, before we move on to the last episode, which is delightful, and we have a bunch of things to talk about in
Yup.
the last episode.
Yeah.
There were some things that I forgot to bring up from the previous episodes. One of them
Oh.
is that in the very first episode with Jupiter's introduction, she gives Luna a little scritch when they're all at the arcade. And the DiC dub cut the frame where Ami starts blushing.
I forgot.
She's just watching Mako just be like, "Oh, he's such a cute little cat." And then she's
Jupiter,
no, the next episode is an Andrew Motoki focused episode with his delightful girlfriend. Because Ura just asked if it's the one with the fat cat. That isn't going to be in our next batch.
That'll be, next
We'll,
one.
I'm very much looking forward to that one. Another note that I had is that so in the episode with Greg, Sagi, they go out for a little drink. They're both drinking some green juice or whatever. They have some sort of fun, fruity, presumably non-alcoholic drink. And then Usagi dips and leaves him with the bill. And we see hey, wait. And then you see it shows the receipt. And the receipt is for 200 yen. So she ditched him for $2.
You're like an damn girl.
In the time of 90s money, that would have been like roughly $2 whole. So and I clapped down. I just thought that was really funny.
Hilarious.
She stiffed this man $2 whole. So
Yeah.
That's actually funny. Oh my god.
it was hilarious enough that I wanted to. I wrote it down because I was like, oh, she left him with the bill. Oh, it was only
Hilarious.
also. Remember the time when you could get 2 drinks for $2?
Imagine.
Oh man. Okay. Do we have any other trivia or anything else that we wanted to add that we didn't get to, or anything like that before we move on to the last one?
Let's move
I
on.
felt like this was another strong Usagi episode. I think, again, they're starting to focus in more on her compassion and the way that she connects with people. And I think that was strong here in what was otherwise a bad episode.
Yeah, it's not
Not
great.
good.
It's not
not
great.
great.
Boring.
Do we recommend it?
No.
No.
No, you can skip it on your rewatch, especially if you're cherry picking.
Yep.
You can skip this whole arc except maybe Jupiter's introduction.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's an underlying arc of Usagi's character expression of her compassion and her starting to connect with victims. I don't think it justifies the time you would spend watching the episodes. You can just know that I told you that it's there. Take our word for it, and then otherwise move on with your life.
I love
Episode 25 of the DiC dub is titled Too Many Girlfriends. Episode 29 of the Japanese is titled Total Chaos, the Messy Love Rectangle.
I don't hate the messy love rectangle,
It's
but
messy rectangle.
I also do love too many
Too many
girlfriends.
girlfriends.
Oh, what a problem to have.
Poor Andy. Poor Andy is just, he's a golden boy.
All right, open on Lita. She's running around in the rain. She bumps into Andrew. She's super mad. She's, the fuck bumped into me and blah, blah, blah. She's clearly not having a great day. But then she sees that it's Andrew and he's a nice guy and he just helps her up and he shares his umbrella with her. And so immediately she's just like my old boyfriend. She's in love. He's talking to her. I heard you are a really good cook. She's, oh yeah, I'll come teach you to cook. And he's, okay. And then after that, he starts getting sunny. So he's like, all right, bye. And then he's in the park. He sees his girlfriend, Reika. She would be a Swiftie.
She would be a Swiftie.
What is
Gosh.
Reika's DiC name?
Rita.
Rita
Rita?
Blake.
Okay, Rita Blake. All right. He sees his girlfriend, Rita, who in the DiC dub studies bugs. That's not what she studies in Japanese. She's sorry, I have to cancel your date. Something came up with my study program. We discovered that she has an opportunity to potentially go study abroad in Africa. This is where we learn in the Japanese what she's allegedly studying. She's not studying bugs. She is studying the origin of life on Earth, which is pretty dope for her. Then they're standing there. Darian meets up with them. Rita runs off to go to her academic thing. So Darian and Andrew go out to eat. Andrew's talking about how stressed he is. I'm so happy for her that she gets to pursue her dream, and that's amazing. But I'm also so in love with her. And it's heartbreaking that she's going to be so far away. What if our relationship can't survive this? She's my true love, blah, blah, blah. And Darian's like, bullshit, she's your true love. That's so dumb. You sound dumb for saying that. He's terrible. He's absolutely terrible in this episode. And then he's beside, what are you going to do about the fact that
Serena and her friend have these huge crushes on you. And he's, no, they're like sisters. They're like little sisters to me. I really like them. And Darian, he's so dumb. How can he not realize? Next scene, it's like the weekend. Lita shows up at Andrew's house. I'm here to teach you to cook. And he's, oh, we didn't schedule anything and I didn't invite you. My house is an absolute pigsty. She's, that's okay. I'll help you clean too. She's devastated to learn that he has a girlfriend. So things don't really go so well with their little outing when she realizes he has a girlfriend. He's really upset about her leaving. She's all sad. Serena's, oh no, what's going on? Did someone break your heart? And she's, ugh, I'm so mad that you guessed it. That's okay. I'm your friend. I will help you win love again. She tells Serena that Andrew's the one who broke her heart. Serena's, Andrew? How could you say that Andrew could have your heart? I'm in love with Andrew. And Lita's, I thought you loved Tuxedo Mask. And bisexual queen, or like poly queen that she is, she's, I love both of them
At the same time.
Leah's, too bad because Andrew has a girlfriend. That can't be true. You must have heard something wrong. But even if it is, then they decide, like, even if he already has a girlfriend, we'll try our best to seduce him anyway. We'll give it all for love. We are love scouts.
They're being so 14.
Hard
So
14. 14. I love it so much. This is not good morality of he's got a girlfriend. Let's steal him away from his girlfriend. That's terrible. It's so 14.
It's very
Like,
14
I'm
years old.
Oh, this is one of the most teenaged episodes. I adore it. Also, the idea that they could compete with Rita. Amazing. Like, she's a first class woman. Anyway, Darian sees them deciding to try to do their best to win him and decides to aggressively mock them again, picking a fight with like junior high girls for no reason. This is when he calls them, like, why would he be attracted to Dumpling Head? It's absolutely terrible. Meanwhile, Zoocyte is busy zoing the next target and discovers that it is Rita. Kunzite is with him, and Kunzite just goes, shit, she's hot as fuck. And that is how first class Rita is, to be clear. She is meant to be the most top tier woman. Side, don't you know that she's a hideous Yoma? How can you say she's prettier than me? And then Kun's, oh, don't be jealous, baby. Don't be jealous. Here's a rose. Not even it's as pretty as you. Just moves it over. They just included this for no fucking reason, and I love it. Kunzite just being like, so great. Meanwhile, Lita, in her scheming, has decided, all right, I will stalk Reika. I'll pretend that I am an academic younger student who looks up to her research. But I'm going to secretly try to make sure she decides to go study abroad so that I can clear the way for myself. Which, again, horrible thing to do. Very fortunate. She pretends that she admires her academic work. They chat. Rita confides that she's really excited about this opportunity, but she's unsure about leaving Andrew. What's the right thing to do? She feels very conflicted. Lita, she's supposed to be like sabotaging their relationship, but she gets caught up in like actually getting invested in their story and is like, you have to give your whole heart to what you decide. And if it's love, then it's love. And if it's the academic work, it's the academic work. But you can't be wishy-washy, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, oh, shoot, I was supposed to be sabotaging and I got distracted. That's that. Lita and Serena go to Andrew's house for another cooking lesson. They start cooking. Rita calls on the phone and is like, Andrew, I've made a decision and I want you to come see me now. So he like ditches them in his apartment while they're cooking. And then the sun goes down. He's gone for hours, presumably. They're falling asleep at the table waiting. Luna shows up through the window and the crescent moon wand is pinging. We gotta go. They go off to investigate. We discover that Zoocyte currently has Andrew and Rita trapped in a circle of flames that Zoocyte has decided for some reason to dramatically manifest. Rita is standing there. Andrew's in front of her, defending her. We were talking the other episode about how Jupiter's, I'm going to win this fight. That's not Andrew's position here. He knows that he's going to get hosed by this magical person, but he's defending Rita anyway. And of course, Zoocyte just zaps him away. He flies through the air. And then Zoocyte zoys Rita, gets the teal blue crystal. Moon and Jupiter show up to fight. Tuxedo Mask knocks the crystal from Zoocyte's hand. The Yoma starts attacking. The Yoma's first attack creates these single-celled organisms that start like slithering up Sailor Moon's leg. The reason I point this out is because that only makes sense in Japanese, where we know that Reika was studying the origin of life. It doesn't make sense. I guess that in DiC, they were like, people will just think those are bugs. So we had her study bugs. Sure.
Her second power is that Jupiter throws Supreme Thunder at her and she catches it in an Erlenmeyer flask. Again, that's incredibly powerful, not explored. Mercury shows up, Bubbles Blast. Mars shows up, Fire Surround. Moon shows up, Moon Healing Activation. Meanwhile, Zoisite is again facing off with Tuxedo Mask. Zoisite's, oh no, you got me. I guess you'll get the Rainbow Crystal. You can pick it up. Gosh. Tuxedo Mask falls for it, reaches for the Rainbow Crystal. Zoisite fucking flower bombs him, takes the crystal, and leaves. An amazing Zoisite moment. Fucking loved it. Incredible. No naps. Reika, in the end, does go to Africa. They're not breaking up. They renew their commitment to love each other in the airport. They're like, we'll call every day, blah, blah, blah. And then Serena and Lita are like, oh, maybe we should give up on Andrew, but maybe we should also never give up. But maybe we'll give up on Andrew. It's so romantic, blah, 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 at the end.
Yeah, I just love Lita's ending line with, I can still flirt.
Yeah. Reika is her Japanese name. And we're going to see her again. She's a character from the manga.
Yep.
Motogi's amazing girlfriend is a character from the manga.
They remain in a relationship throughout. Their love endures.
I would be like, why does she like this guy who's going through school and working at the arcade? What does he have going for him? He's the best. That's what he has going for him.
He's green flag. The most top tier man. At every episode, at every moment, no one has more emotional maturity than Motogi.
There's no one in the series with more emotional maturity than Motogi.
Hands down. Hands down.
Yeah. He very much, even though Mamoru is like, how could he not see that these girls want to kiss him? I read that as he's not oblivious. He's just normal.
Yep.
He's just being nice to the local kids who are weird. These are some weird kids. He's just nice to them. He's just being nice to Mako, who is, I'll teach you to cook. And he's like, sure, cool, teach me to cook.
Right.
Show me your skills, show me your talents. And then he doesn't even ask them to clean his house. They do it for him.
They just do it. Yep.
They just do it. She comes to his apartment and is, ooh, smells like man in here. Gotta fix that immediately. Yep. He's not taking advantage of her whatsoever.
No.
He just wanted her to teach him how to cook.
Yes.
And to engage with the kids who come to the game store all the time.
Yeah.
Also, this episode shows the guy who's there when he's not there. Like it's back.
Yes.
Backup dude.
Yes, that there's literally another employee.
So now there are other employees wwho work at the game Crown game center. Who, when she walks in, when Usagi walks in, he's, oh hey Usagi, Andrew's not here today. And they know her. Like
They know her too. Yep.
Yeah, I was charmed by that little beat.
Yes.
Let's see. I also had to know that was like Usagi, our bisexual polyam queen.
It actually says in here in the trivia, Sailor Moon's daydream, which ends with her almost kissing Makoto, has been used by the fan base as potential proof of her possibly being bisexual.
That's one of many reasons why Usagi is.
I'm like,
but both of them are. Like, you can, there's a lot of ways you can point to both of them. And not just her weird daydream about almost kissing her friend, but also like literally anytime there's an attractive woman within 5 feet of Usagi, she's just like,
damn.
Yeah. Can only point to literally all of season 3 with Haruka.
Yes.
Or like, even once Usagi finds out that Teto Haruka is a woman, Usagi's still into it.
Yeah. Not a deal breaker for her. It is slightly a deal breaker for Minako. It's just like, oh, not a boy? What do I even do then?
Child.
Except that Mina is also very bi for Rei.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's like the only one.
Like, oh, not a boy? A girl? I already have one of those.
Other women are so much work. Yeah, but
and it stars when she thinks she's getting a love letter from another girl and is like, Julie, there's a younger girl who admires her and writes her specifically a love letter and is, please accept this. And she knows that it's a love letter and I'm so flattered and it's amazing that you think of me in this way. And I'm so sorry to break your heart. Unfortunately, I'm already in love with someone else. Look, she doesn't say, unfortunately, I'm straight. Like, she's not, you're a girl, that's weird. It's never weird at any moment to her. She's just, I'm in a committed monogamous relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
I think there is ample evidence of Usagi's bisexuality, whether or not that was the author's intent. But I feel like Takeuchi Sensei's sexuality from the clues in the manga and in the commentary on the show and stuff like that is about as mysterious as Ryoko Kui, creator of Dungeon Messy sexuality. She lovingly drew all these beautiful women and has talked openly about like her romances in a bunch of famous Western fantasy games like Dragon Age and Baldur's Gate 3, where she just there's this picture that she drew of just lovingly illustrating Shadowheart from Baldur's Gate 3, and then the tiniest, shittiest picture of Astarion at the bottom. He's here too. He sure is popular. 3. We'll never know if
But
either of these
also,
two people.
my wife.
But also my wife.
Well-
I love her. The translated note says, "I love the way she refers to you." Says you when she talks to you. And it's just we'll never know whether or not either of these two famous Japanese women liked women or not. We'll never know.
Never know.
Never know.
As Oda says, Kusaki is as straight as a spear and as mad
Yeah.
as close as Nogo Sensei. And then,
Yep.
oh my God, no, you guys gotta hear this. So I was
Okay.
reading just for funsies the international dub title. The Brazilian Portuguese is my new favorite title.
Okay.
A strange love triangle, or is it a square?
Great.
So good.
How
Fantastic.
about?
Fantastic.
The other ones are the European Portuguese was a confusing date. The French was Tommy's girlfriend. Who the fuck is Tommy?
Tommy
presume
must be Andrew.
Andrew. Yeah.
Andy got it. And then the DVD was What a Mess. What the?
Inextricable.
Yes, thank you. Love Square.
What a Mess. The Inextricable Love Square is closer to the Japanese title.
Yeah,
Then
totally.
the
Yes.
other ones,
Messy
yeah.
love rectangle. Yeah.
So the monster's name is Riko Keita, and that's probably also a pun. And when her Big Erlenmeyer flask is literally just called Big Flask.
Big Flask.
The attack name is just Big Flask.
Big Flask.
It delighted me so much I wrote down Big Flask, like in all capital letters.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Like I said, another incredibly powerful and interesting power underused. Like they
Yeah.
could have done so much with the fact that we can't attack her directly because she catches our attacks in her big flask.
Big Flask.
But that was not the focus of the episode. They didn't have the runtime for it, so they didn't.
Also, when at the beginning of the episode, when they're like, "Oh, she's going to Africa to study the origin of life," I was like, "Oh, cool, ancient anthropology." And then it was like, "No, the origin of life on Earth, like single-celled organisms." Shit, the very recent discovery of the actual first animal, shit like that. Not
Yeah.
where did it come from?
Yeah,
Yeah. And in the manga, she's a geologist, if I
Yes.
remember it correctly.
I believe that's correct. So it's interesting because I would love more of an exploration from them of tying that in with, let's call it the Silver Millennium Cataclysm.
Okay.
Because all of the previous Rainbow Crystal holders have some sort of magical aspect to them. You've got Game Machine Joe has telekinesis. The priest appears to have some sort of divine touch of empathy, of spirituality, because he floats down from the heavens at the end in a different priest outfit, singing the Lord's praises or whatever. You've got Greg, who has precognition. You've got the artist who has these dream recollections of the Silver Millennium and the Cataclysm. And so, given that this is something that you could find a way to tie into, again, the fact that these are all reincarnations of the Greater Yoma, I think it would have been cool if they had done something with that to not do it. They didn't. It just feels like a slightly missed opportunity to me because it does feel like you could have drawn a connection there.
And then, do you want to read out Oda's comment real quick? I guess
Sure.
relate.
Oh, yeah. Riko means intelligent, and Rikoke means science and technology. So yeah, every Japanese character is some level of fun. Okay. I assumed that when the monster is some untranslatable, that it's not actually totally weird. It's actually a pun that I don't get. Yeah. And I've been right every time. Yeah.
Yeah, Ben. And then is that so what do we think? Do we recommend this episode? Do we not?
I do. I think it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun episode.
Okay, so we officially are giving it a seal of approval.
Yeah. On my notes for watching the DiC dub, I have a note that says Andrew is such a winner, and then under my Japanese notes, it says Motoki is such a winner.
Such a winner. That's true, though. He just is flawless in DiC, in Viz, in the Japanese subtitle. Like, he's just fantastic. He is the best guy, and I'm glad that he got the best woman.
So I will also note that this episode is animated very much the previous generation of anime's comedy anime. I haven't noticed this episode is very anime derogatory. There's a lot of people falling over and then their foot kicks in the air.
Yeah.
Which is very much a Japanese older anime slapstick gag.
Yeah.
Mako wants to, very 80s
Yep.
content.
Good one,
Uh,
Nara.
And there's a bit where Mako is throttling Motoki to get him to tell her about his girlfriend, and he turns blue, and it's just very 80s slapstick anime in a way that I don't think is very good.
Yeah, even at the very beginning when Makoto first bumps into Andrew, she goes into this evil-faced, angry, shrieking, like, "Why would you do that to me?" Blah, 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 blah. Okay, at the one point, maybe you're conveying that Mako has a hair-trigger temper, but also, this is that temper. You've made her terrifying and in need of anger management in a way that is slapstick.
Yeah. There's a bit where Usagi says, and I think this whole frame is cut from the DiC dub, where Usagi is they're gonna steal Andrew from her, and they're working up their courage to go into the arcade, and he says, "Let's do it in height order," and then opens a Japanese fan as
my
a
God.
punchline, and Mako goes, "What is this, gym class?" And it's really funny. But we don't necessarily have that context. They definitely cut
Right.
everything other than Mako falling over and kicking her foot a little bit as a
Yep.
the-
Yep. Because it's so funny.
Yeah. I guess lining up in order of height or doing things in order of height is a Japanese gym class thing. I would presume from context, given that's
Yeah,
the
it
punchline.
sounds like it. Yep.
Yeah.
Sure sounds like it.
And then do we have anything to add? Did the Luna say something nice to Usagi challenge?
Well, Luna passes it in the Japanese episode. In episode 26, where Luna is, I want her to gain confidence. I want her to be the leader. I want you to believe in her. Luna is on her side for right up until Mako calls her and she's, I'm getting food, bye.
Yeah. I think it is the most pro Usagi that Luna has ever been so far. It's frankly shocking given the way that they've characterized their relationship. It is only unfortunate that Luna doesn't say any of that with Usagi through.
True. Oh my god. And I agree. The DiC dub likes making everyone mean more than they should.
Aggressively, constantly. Yes, some of the characters are unreasonably mean, even in Japanese, but everyone is so much meaner in the DiC dub.
Which is crazy. It's like teenagers roast each other, yes, but not like constant. All right. Anything else we want to talk about?
Yeah, I think we got all of those.
Yeah, I think for me, what I had said. Oh, go ahead.
Episode 28, if you were watching along at home, there are a bunch of flashing lights. So seizure one.
Oh, that's a
Oh,
good
okay.
heads up. Yep.
That's in the Japanese one. I think the flashing lights are actually cut out of the DiC. So if you somehow have your hands on it, it's safe to watch episode 22? 24. 24. It's safe.
Okay.
I believe the flashing lights are not in the English version.
They're not. I don't remember.
Version, I don't because I don't remember anything flashing, but in the watching it on YouTube, episode 28, there's a very strobing thing that made me go, oh, I literally wrote down, don't forget to put a seizure warning in this. So seizure warning, not content warning. Yeah, careful with episode 28. I would love to give you the timestamp, but I didn't have the forethought to write it down. Also, that's an imminently skippable episode. So if you are potentially triggered, have seizure triggers by that, skip it.
Just skip it. We didn't like it anyway.
Yeah. Okay, that was my last note.
All right.
Yeah, I think for me, like I said at the beginning, the theme of these episodes are genuinely that we are starting to see the way in which they said the experience with Molly and Nephrite was a watershed moment for Usagi and for Sailor Moon. And I think it really is underlyingly what is driving all of the sudden sprint in growth that we see from her, both interpersonally, where she's taking even more of an investment in people around her and actively trying to help them improve their lives. Whether it's Makoto, who we get very involved with, or Peggy, who we get very involved with, or Greg, who she gets very involved with. She's obviously Molly, very involved with always. Interpersonally, she's really even more investing in helping people. But as Sailor Moon, we start to really see her actively becoming more of a leader, not just because Luna told her to be one, but because she is naturally rising to the occasion. And I really like that this is where that's unfolding. And I also like that it pairs with the fact that adding Jupiter to the team has added someone who is a strong Usagi supporter to the team. Mercury's not mean, but she's rarely also, you know what? Usagi's great and I believe in her real heart. I think that Jupiter is such a good addition to the team at this moment because she's what they need in terms of a dynamic too. And I think it's great.
I'm not loving Zoisite as much as I remembered so far, but I think it's because the next episodes are the strongest ones for me.
Zoisite, I think, becomes even more fun as Zoisite becomes a little more unhinged. As things get more dire with Beryl, and Beryl's like, Zoisite, dude, you need to give me results. You know how pissed I get when I don't get results. And Zoisite is just, I have to go harder. I have to put my whole ass into this. I am so pissed that everyone else is ruining my amazing Zoisite future.
The Konzite, when he sees Reika in Japanese, it was another thing I remembered before we wrap up. He's not damn in Japanese. He's just like, oh, she's beautiful. Oh, he remarks on it like it's a normal thing, right? You see the image and he's just a beautiful woman in his villainous way. Right?
Yeah. And then played it up in my summary.
Yeah. I think he's a little bit more damn in English.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little bit more, oh, she's hot in English. And in Japanese, he's simply, behold, a beautiful woman.
Right.
And but Zoisite is like, how dare you say she's more beautiful than me? When what he was like, when what he said was, yeah, behold. And then he just puts the charm on and it works.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's my last point for real.
All right, then let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah.
Sure thing.
And with that, we come to the end of our show. Thank you for joining us for episodes 21 through 25 of the DiC Dub. We will be continuing on next month with June 1st. We literally were on it, and
That's
it's
how
episodes
early.
26 through 30. So we better get our tails in order for that.
Yep.
All right. As always, our fellow Moonies, check us out on all our socials and follow us to find out the next time we're going live. And you can find all our links in our link tree in the description. Don't forget to tune into Eternal Mooncast stream as Michi and go on another Mooney lore deep dive from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern on May the 18th. Do you want to talk a little bit about what the episode's about?
Yes, it is going to be with special guest, the Sailor Moon guy. And we are going to be doing Queen Helena, A Look Inside the Mirror.
Oh.
I know, Relia, I was like,
You?
I saw your phone.
Am I a little mad that you did not invite me to guest on this episode? Of course I'm a little mad, but
We'll talk.
I have been your co-host, Monica. If you want to know what I'm up to and interested in, feel free to follow me at DiC-Wizard on Tumblr and Blue Sky. Sometimes it's Sailor Moon, but often it isn't. Many surprises await you.
I've been your co-host, Relia. If you like what I do and you want to follow me on social media, you can find my most active socials popping up on the screen below. If you want to follow my cosplay adventures, you can find me on Instagram at Relia Lacdamon. If you want to follow my artwork, I'm on Twitter at Shazari, on Tumblr at Art Crystals, and on Blue Sky as Relia. Thanks as always for supporting the show, and stay tuned to find out when we're going live, as we said, June 1st. So we will see you hopefully in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you then.
And as always, I've been your host, Michi. You can find my personal socials at MEW21 across the web. For our parent show, Eternal Mooncast, you can find previous episodes of our show on YouTube, as well as previous episodes of this. This episode will be coming out not this Monday, but the Monday after, 7 p.m. Eastern. We appreciate any likes, comments, follows, however you'd like to support our show in your own way. As a quick reminder, these have just been our personal opinions, and we celebrate all respectful Mooney opinions here. Have a good night.